Please let me know when we're good to go. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Infrastructure Planning and Assets Committee for March. I'd just recognise that all of the membership of the committee is in attendance, and we have Councillor Augustine as an observer. I'd like to ask Councillor Madden to read the acknowledgement of country, please.
Thanks very much, Chair. Ipswich City Council respectfully acknowledges the traditional owners as custodians of the land and waters we share. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, as the keepers of the traditions, customs, cultures and stories of proud people.
Thanks, Councillor Madden. Is there any declarations of interest? There being no declarations of interest, I'll move to the next item, being business outstanding. We do have the matter of the provisional projects policy, which was tabled and remains on the table. Is there any desire to take it from the table at this stage, noting that we had a meeting recently that there's still a bit of work to do in relation to that? We're happy for that to remain on the table. Thank you. And I'd just like to bring up also, there was a notice of motion considered at the Council Ordinary meeting of the 27th of February, which related to the preparation of a report to this meeting, I believe, for suburb signs. Can pardon me, ladies and gentlemen, just a bit worn down at the moment, but I'll ask if everybody's happy that we receive a verbal report in relation to that matter rather than the formal report.
So I can't see it on the agenda, Chair. Is there?
I can speak to it if you like.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so
CEO.
through you, Chair, I circulated an email to councillors approximately a week ago, just advising that unfortunately with the disaster response, the officers have not been able to, as hoped, meet the deadline for the March committee report to today. So the chair and the mover of the notice of motion have asked if a verbal report could be given. So we're at the chair's and the committee's disposal on that.
If everyone's happy with that, I'll ask.
Could I just ask if we've got a verbal? That's not intended to substitute for the. It's just a brief verbal report, and we'll get the report at the next meeting.
Through the chair, yes.
That's my understanding. It's more of an update as to where we're at.
If I could ask, Chair, that for these things, it would still be great if it was in the agenda, even if it's saying it's a verbal report. At the moment, there's nothing on the agenda to say that this verbal report was coming forward. If I could ask the CEO.
Thank you, Chair. Noted. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll ask the GM to respond via the verbal report, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so apologies for not being able to get that report through. As mentioned, staff have been quite busy with response to recent events. We were hoping to collect a bit of data around, for example, the number of signs, the brown signs in particular, to be replaced, and we haven't been able to do that audit as yet. However, in terms of how we go about replacing signs, there is no set program and budget for signage. It's more as signs come up and are worn out and need maintenance, we will go and replace the sign. So we'll bring back more information on the actual number of signs so that more decisions can be made around that and how we want to approach that in the future.
Can I just add? I think one of the.
Oh,
yes,
I was just going to say it
Martin.
wasn't so much the issue of replacing signs, it was the new replacement sign, the grey one rather than the traditional green. That was more the issue. Yeah, that was more of the issue.
That's what I was going to add, that it wasn't sort of how many or when we could do it, but to maintain the current standard and the manual, I think it was, we call the manual, particular document.
Style guide.
Style guide that was changed, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chair, I can provide a verbal report on that if that's acceptable. So,
Chair.
You had further questions?
And there's another issue. This is more for the benefit of the GM. Having driven around Division 4, well, the old Division 10, I did notice some of the brown signs were being replaced with new brown signs, but exactly the same format as the old brown signs. So what I'd be seeking, when we eventually deal with this matter, is that our policy is that as the brown signs are decommissioned, that they be replaced with the standard sign.
Thanks, Jim. CEO.
So thank you, Chair. Committee, so the report that comes forward for the April Infrastructure Planning and Assets Committee will absolutely cover the previous design of the signs, the options available, and options for your consideration as to suitable suburb signs going forward, and will also contain advice and recommendations in relation to the brown signs, noting what has just been discussed at committee. We, in the meantime, to facilitate your discussion around the report, we're happy to circulate some information to you in advance, but certainly there'll be a full report to the April committee. Does that clarify?
No, partly. I think we sort of generally agreed last time that the existing signs would be the basis of a change to the manual or style guide, to go back to what we've had.
Further to Councillor Tully, I don't think it was the intention that we consider possible new styles. It was really to confirm the original green sign to be used throughout Ipswich. We weren't looking to change what that sign might look like, is my understanding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if I could say, well, I'm not sure. I thought we're going to bring it forward so we could have that discussion.
Yeah, well, that was my interpretation of that discussion, however.
Chair?
Go on.
Chair, as mover of the motion, I was happy for the signs to remain that they were. My major concern was we made such a radical departure from our existing sign with that sign at Woolcracker, and I understand there's some other signs like that around. I think there's one at Flinders View, grey. There's one at Worrell Park, the cemetery on Warwick Road. So my major point with regard to the motion was that we stopped putting out these green signs and putting out the grey signs, and then and also my other concern was that the brown signs in the old Division 10 were being replaced with old brown signs when it's still part of Ipswich. I mean, it should be the same signs everywhere. So I wouldn't be seeking to change this standard design. But I should say there's a third element to my motion, and that was this discovery that we changed the design of the sign disclosed that the style guide had been changed, and that has never come before council. And the style guide is far more than just suburban signs. That's why I asked for the copy of the new style guide to be circulated so that we're brought up to speed about what else has changed. Is it the bottom of the emails? Is it the red, yellow, blue at the top? What other things have been changed if the suburban signs have been changed? So just to make clear, GM and CEO, I'm happy to leave it with the existing design, but there are other issues that I'd like dealt with in the motion.
Could I just add to that it's always going to be a cost, but if we change the design at all, like change it completely, well that's going to be almost prohibitive, and it'll take an enormous amount of time.
Oh, yes, it would.
To do that. And you'll recall, Councillor, that when we did agree with these, I think it took us almost 2 years just to agree on a particular
I don't think
format.
it was quite 2 years, but it felt like that. I recall that.
Yeah. I think it was 18 months to 2 years. So I agree with what Councillor Madden said, that it was just to reset it back to what it was in the style guide.
And I seem to recall that was when we did institute the current design, or the design that we're all referring to, that it was to be done progressively at that time too. I imagine there's probably still suburban signs or suburb signs that are out there that are the old design as well. And I think you've highlighted some of those in Division 4.
Yes, there's certainly signs in the old style in Division 4 that need to be replaced, because they developed that sort of brown pattern atop them. Must be the liner of the photographic, how they do it, and it becomes like it's burnt. And there's one at Brassel near the junction of Gregory Street and Sydney Street. But just to be clear, I'm fine with the existing design, but I'm not fine with replacing brown signs in the old Division 10 with brown signs. I want them replaced with the standard design. And also, I mean, you know, there's a number of signs that need replacing because they just look so horrible. You know, they're worn and you can't, those brown signs, I could probably point out 6 brown signs that you can't actually read. It just goes back to white. And, you know, I think we need to be a bit more urgent about our replacement of the suburban signs. You know.
So I take it we seem to have a uniform view that the signs with the silhouette of our skyline is, and green, is the choice for the city.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yep.
We're not changing anything.
Does that require a motion, CEO, for that effect
It's
here
probably-
or not?
I thought that we were getting a paper and then we could have a full
We're still
discussion.
getting a paper
I'd rather
to
have
that
a full
effect,
discussion,
okay.
Chair,
Still getting a paper.
Yep, all right. So that should
rather
have...
make a decision without a paper.
Yep, fair enough. All good. Well, so we're satisfied with the verbal report that's been given, I take it, or at this stage, and obviously everyone's shared their views, so we look forward to that being in a future meeting, so coming up at a future meeting. The next item is confirmation of minutes. Would someone like to move that the minutes are an accurate reflection?
Formally receive and note that, that we've received and noted the verbal report? I think we normally do.
Oh, we
Yeah,
do?
It's an item that's been presented.
Very good. So
I'll move that.
you'll move that it be received and noted.
Thank
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Martin. All those any discussion? All those in favour? Against? That's carried. So item 2 is confirmation of minutes. Do we have a mover that the minutes be confirmed as an accurate reflection of the last meeting? Thank you. Councillor Doyle and Councillor Madden. Any discussion, any corrections or otherwise? All those in favour? Against? That's carried unanimously. Officers' reports. Item 3, provisional projects approval. The recommendations are contained therein. Is there any questions in relation to item 3? If there's no questions, do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Doyle. I wouldn't mind seconding that, Councillor Doyle. If I'll second. Is there any discussion? Yes, Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Chair.
Would you be pleased to speak on my behalf as well to Councillor Doyle?
Absolutely. Chair, thank you. Really excited to see these provisional projects come forward. Councillor Antonelli and I have been working together on a number of different prospective provisional projects. We've worked with council officers to get these 4 across the line. Mayor Harding brought you up to speed very late in the day around these, but going forward, happy to take your views as well. These projects come about from requests from our residents. So particularly in relation to the pedestrian improvements at Sadler's Crossing, Councillor Antonelli and I were approached by some senior residents living in that area that find it a little unsafe to cross. So we're hoping that those improvements will certainly create a more safe environment as our seniors like to go out and go for a walk. Installation of the dog bowls in our parks, again, a regular request right across Division 3 and I imagine right across the city. Our residents love walking with their pets, so having the dog bowl at a tap absolutely makes sense. And then finally, the installation of the speed awareness sign along Collingwood Drive. I'm not sure, Councillor Antonelli, that there's a week that goes by that we don't hear from residents about speeding and safety concerns of the community along Collingwood Drive. It is a very long stretch of road, and fortunately, most in the community do the right thing, but for those that get a little bit busy and a little bit distracted, the speed awareness sign will hopefully remind everyone to just stick to the speed limit. So I think Collingwood Park residents will be really happy to see that one. And unless you've got anything to add, Chair, I think that sort of sums up our provisionals.
I concur completely.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Mayor.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you to the council officers for showing in quite detail the projects. I think that was really great. And look, Division 3 have listened to their residents. They've been pushing forward for these projects. So, and especially with the speed sign as well, we see that they had the same request from Division 2 recently. So I'll be fully supporting these 4 provisional projects.
Any further discussion? All those in favour? Against, it's carried unanimous. Item 4, Asset and Infrastructure Services Department Capital Delivery Report. Is there any questions? Yes, Mayor.
Thank you, Chair. My question is, the Capital Works program is reporting a total expenditure of $4.86 million against an adopted budget of $8.37 million for January. Could you outline what factors have influenced that delivery process?
I refer to the GM.
Thank you, Chair. As January there was some rain during the month, which delayed projects as well as the usual shutdown period delays. So we had expected forecast we could spend the 8.37, but with the factors in the month, we didn't get there.
If I may, Chair, as a follow-up question, just obviously with the recent weather the last couple of weeks, will we be delivering still within this financial year, or are you expecting any slippages?
Through you, Chair. At the time of writing the report, we expected we could catch up on the capital program. However, we'll report more next month on effects of the wet weather that we had as we see those impacts. But we do expect there will be delays now in time and costs to our capital program.
Thank you, General Manager. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions of the GM? The motion that the report be received and noted. Is there a mover? Thank you, Councillor Johnnick, Deputy Mayor. And seconder, sorry? Councillor Doyle. Any discussion? Yes, Councillor Johnnick.
I just wanted to highlight and praise the team, obviously, in relation to the tender evaluations for the engagement of an external design consultant for the Augusta Parkway Bridge duplication. There's a number of projects actually in this report relating to Division 2, so thankful for all of them, obviously, including the clubhouse at Silver Jubilee Park, which is progressing outstandingly. But yeah, really, that bridge duplication caught my attention, so glad to see it in the papers today. Thank you.
Very good. As the mover, Councillor Doyle, did you have any discussion? Mayor Harding.
Thank you. It's good to see that the Springfield Parkway and the Springfield Greenbank arterial road upgrade does continue with additional lanes that opened in December, reducing travel times through the area. Council's making good progress with Stage 1 complete and finishing works for Stage 3 in full swing. The enabling on the Stage 2 is about to start and the planning is well advanced for early work that has begun. The upgraded Redbank Plains Road Stage 3 project was completed in December and includes 2 lanes in each direction. This stage has been completed and we are seeing the road used by the community with gusto, I think. I also note the Ipswich Lighter, Quicker, Cheaper pilot funded by the state government has now been completed, and Council did receive a grant of $165,000 to support and progress the implementation of the Ipswich Hospital Walking Network Plan. It's looking really great. The urban green arbour installed along East Street between Roderick and South Street in Ipswich Central has been well received by our community. The community told us that they wanted more shade, so we installed an increased amount of shade cloth to provide that additional coverage, with Ipswich having a 66% higher rate for melanoma than the national average. We were always looking for opportunities to make our community safer and improve the shade here. The report also talks about the part of the planning for the pedestrian, cycle and road safety improvements to the intersection of East and South Streets, and has been completed, as well as the lighting upgrades which have been installed. So thank you very much for the report, CEO. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Madden.
Thanks, Chair. Look, I'd just like to mention a few items listed in the report that relate to Division 4 and thank council staff for their work with regard to the project. There's 2 items in the local amenity provisional projects that are just great. One was the extension of the footpath in School Street in Rosewood, just to, I think I've spoken about this before, but in the network of the footpaths in Rosewood, it stops about 30 metres short of the Rosewood School Hall, which is the most common place to have events in Rosewood, mainly because it's air conditioned. So people with walkers and wheelchairs and that had to endure 30 metres of just grass for the last section, and it looks just fantastic now when I drive past and see that the missing link, as I call it, in the footpath network. I'm also very pleased to see or inspect the reconfiguration of the fencing. And Chair, you're aware of this one, reconfiguration of the fencing at the Crib Park dog off leash area. I mean, to think about what something's going to look like, as an idea compared to what it actually looked like when it eventuates, you can just see why this is such a great innovation. There was no real chairs or shade in that dog off leash area. Now, by incorporating that picnic table within the area, our fur baby lovers are able to sit down there and work on their phones and what have you while their dogs are running around. It's a very, very popular dog off leash area. The only deficiency with that dog off leash area, it's only one area. There's no small dog, big dog. But I have to say, I haven't been hounded by residents requesting, and that what they actually say to me was, the small dogs get on with the big dogs just fine. And maybe that's something, That's right. And the other thing I'd like to thank council officers is how diligent they've been in obtaining grants in Division 4. And just to name the ones that are listed in the report, the Talagala Culvert Program, we were very successful in getting a grant of over $600,000 for that one. Ivan Marsden Field, which is really a gem as far as sporting facilities in Ipswich for round field sports such as AFL and cricket. It's just a magnificent facility. With the peculiarities of council boundaries, it's in Division 4 but right next to Division 3. But I'm sure we both Division 3 and Division 4 can claim Ivan Marsden. The Carolee Alternative Access Track, that's just great. And finally, the ongoing improvements to the Tivoli sports facilities, Tivoli Sports Field, as we call it. State funding almost $6,000 for about $7,000 worth of improvements. So, very good report, and great to see Division 4 as well mentioned in the report, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Doyle.
Yeah, Chair, if I may, I think it's important for yourself and I to mention the Black Spot program, the funding for the Robertson Road and Whitehill Road concrete strip. That project has been delayed by a week, I think, due to weather and starts next Monday. Now, this has been a little bit controversial in our community. Certainly for decades you have been able to travel along Whitehill Road from Glebe Road all the way through to Flinders View. The Black Spot funding and council officers identified that this particular intersection at Robertson Road and Whitehill Road is certainly very dangerous, and the data showed that. This came about a few years ago and had discussion in the community. I held a mobile office at Limestone Park to speak to residents, to listen to their concerns. And I too had the concern that, we were sort of effectively cutting off forever a main thoroughfare. But over time, as I've understood the danger that is there, as well as understanding that traffic signals really aren't an option, they would be too close in proximity to the traffic signals on Chermside Road and Robertson Road. In addition to that, in order to incorporate traffic signals there would likely mean we would need to acquire parts of people's property. So for those residents living on each of those corners, that's certainly not a good outcome for them. And, you know, finally, I was only recently contacted by a resident who was concerned that the project may be, I guess, deleted. I explained to him that we had the black spot funding secured and that would not be the case. And he told me that he basically attends every accident that occurs at that intersection, aiding those people that are involved because he lives very near to that corner. So he's delighted to see that happen. I know there will be frustration within the community that it will now only be left in, left out, but that particular resident assured me it's only a 10-second change to his commute each day. So I'm hoping over time we will all get used to that new path. But just want to assure residents that are living around there in the side streets, Councillor Antonelli and I are acutely aware of the concerns that new rat runs may form. So we have strips down, counting traffic as well as monitoring the speed. So we might be able to implement some changes if rat runs and dangerous behaviour does happen. But I'm hoping that won't. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dole. Just to add to that, I think that the installation of traffic lights, if they had been an option, would have also increased rat running in that community as well. So the road hierarchy in that area for Whitehill Road between Cemetery Road and Glebe Road is certainly not one that warrants the level of traffic that it does tend to attract. So yes, it will mean, as you've highlighted, that a number of motorists will have to make adjustments to their route to and from home. However, I do believe that the black spot figures, the figures of accidents that have been there, certainly warrant the action that's been taken, but also I often find that when you have a serious location like that where there are a number of accidents, it's the number of near misses. And I would imagine there would be many members of our community who have been victims of near misses at that location will probably see the warrant for this particular infrastructure upgrade to there. So yes, it will create changes, but I concur with everything you said. Thank you, Councillor Doyle. As the mover, Councillor Johnnick, did you... Oh, sorry, observer, Councillor Augustine, would you like to speak to the report as well?
Oh, thank you, Chair. I just note
With
that
the indulgence of obviously the group.
Yes.
Thank you.
Without one of us, a Division 1 councillor on this committee, I just thank the committee for allowing me just to speak to a couple of points on this agenda item. Noting in the provisional projects, we did complete the storage facility at Redbank Plains Rec Reserve, which was Westminster, and it was of no fault of their own. Rules got changed in the world of football, different field size, goals needed to be stored, so it was great to be able to fund that through the provisional projects for them. Then we've got, with the increase of traffic along Ripley Road, which then extends into Flinders View, it's good to see that there's progress in the Ripley Road and the Reef Street upgrade. That will really help the flow of traffic. And then it's good to, again with sport, the Redbank Plains Rec Sports Facility Development. There's very much a need for, we all know in everyone's division, sports are crying out for extra fields, so it's good to see that this one's on our agenda as well, and it's progressing nicely. So thank you very much, Chair, and the committee for allowing me to speak today.
You're welcome, Councillor Augustine. I return to the mover, Councillor Johnnick. Anything you wish to raise? I'll put the matter to the vote. All those in favour? Okay, so it's carried. Excuse me. Item 5, we now change over general managers. I did have a cough suppression before I came here.
Through you, Chair, just wondering if we need some Glen 20 in here today.
Thank you. ready, mate. Item 5 is the exercise of delegation report from the planning area. Firstly, any questions in relation to the report? If there's no questions, I'll put the matter, which is the recommendation is that received and noted. Mover, thank you. I'll move that. Seconder, please. Seconded by Councillor Doyle. Any discussion? There being no further discussion, I'll put the matter to the vote. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Unanimous. Item 6, which is the Planning Environment Court Action Status Report. Any questions in relation to this report? Noting that there's only 2 matters and noting that if there is much discussion in relation to the matter, we may need to close the meeting. Is there any discussion around the table? If there's no discussion, I'll put the recommendation again, receive and note. I'll move that. Can I have a second again, Councillor Doyle? Any discussion? If there's no further discussion, all those in favour? Against? That's carried. We now move on to notices of motion. I do not believe there are any matters arising. There is none. Any general business or questions? Yes, Councillor Tully.
I've just got 2 questions which may not be able to be answered today, so I'm happy for them to go on notice. One is those smiley face speed signs. Periodically, and one's occurred on Jones Road at Belbird Park, just north of Katandra Crescent, where they fail, where the pixelation fails. That's been taken away in the last couple of weeks. I just wanted to know how long it takes either to be fixed or replaced, approximately. The second thing is probably more important, because I get a lot of questions from the community. With the upgrade of Redbank Plains Road from the Kruger roundabout through to Kedges Road, there's an intended to replace the roundabout at the corner of Redbank Plains Road, Belbird Park and Kruger Parade. I understand there was a problem in relation to an urban utilities underground main which delayed the work, but the roundabout's gone, but there's a temporary roundabout still working there. I just want to know when work will commence to finalise that project, because we did say that it's been completed. In a lot of ways it has, you know, from there right through to to the south to Town Square. But just like the community wants to know when that's going to be completed with the traffic lights.
Is there a need to answer that question or an ability to answer that question today, or do you just...
If there is, fine. If not, I'll just put that on notice.
Would the General Manager like to take that on notice?
Thank you, Chair. We'll take that on notice. Thank you.
Thank you. You want that to come back to the next meeting, Councillor Tully, or are you satisfied to get a response?
I think probably when issues are raised that they should come back formally, so so the minutes reflect what the formal answer was. But if there's an interim response, I'm happy to receive that. Well, I guess with other councillors before that next meeting.
Thank you. Okay. Any other general business or questions? There being none, I note the meeting time is 9:35. The next meeting to commence at 9:45. I'll move that. Don't need to move, procedural. So close the meeting. Thank you very much for your attendance. And I'll go die in the corner.